Hi everybody. I wanted to do a video on one of my favorite books, Rebecca by Daphne Du Maurier. It was published in 1938, and I believe Daphne wrote part of it or mostly all of it in Egypt when her husband was stationed there when he was in the military. And she was a little bit homesick, and so she wrote, and this majority of her books take place in Cornwall, and so does this one. The majority of it takes place in Cornwall. The first part of it's in Monte Carlo, but the majority of it takes place along the Cornish coast. So anyway, the story is this young lady, and we never know her name. She's like 19 years old. 18, 19 years old. She doesn't really have any family. She's the paid companion of Mrs. Van Hopper, and they're in Monte Carlo, and she meets up with this mysterious Maxim de Winter, and Mrs. Van Hopper is a bit nosy, and so she tries to get to know Mr. de Winter, and Mrs. Van Hopper gets sick with the flu, and the young lady goes out with Maxim in his car, goes driving around and stuff. And then finally, Van Hopper gets better and she wants to go to New York to be with her daughter. And the young lady does not want to go. And then Maxim proposes for her and they go back to Manderley. And that's where the story really takes off. Manderley is a big estate along the Cornish coast. And the young lady, the main character in this book, she feels, shy, introverted, and kind of out of her depth, a little bit insecure and stuff. And she feels like she's always competing or being compared with the first wife, Rebecca, who died a year previously. And then there's also the housekeeper, Mrs. Danvers, who's kind of creepy and psychotic at times, I think. And the young lady's kind of like the main character. She's really an unreliable narrator, because you only really hear the story through most of the book. You only hear one side of the story, and that's hers. And you don't really know what really happened until Maxim breaks down and tells her what was really going on between him and Rebecca. And it's kind of a shock, but still you somehow end up rooting for Team Maxim at the end. So anyway, it's really, if you love mystery, suspense, with a little bit of romance in there, it's really, really good. And I really, really enjoyed it. I also have this 1943. I don't even know where I picked it up at. It's been so long. I've had it so long. But this 1943 copy, I probably picked it up at a thrift store or something. And I got this one because I wanted something I could abuse a little bit more. And because I love this story so much. Anyway, I love Daphne's writing. It's just very descriptive, and you feel like you're a part of the story, really. And even the everyday little things that you wouldn't really think about, it just makes it more real, if you know what I mean. And anyway, so Becca. I also liked. There's a couple. I've known of only two versions of Rebecca. One was, I think, was a PBS miniseries in 1997. And then there's this one with the Laurence Olivier and Joan Fontaine, which I really enjoyed. Alfred Hitchcock. And Alfred Hitchcock, he actually did a lot of. He did a couple of movies based on her books. Rebecca was one of them, and also if you remember, The Birds was based on a short story that she wrote. which I read last year, and it is different. It is Alfred Hitchcock's Bird is different from. It takes place in a different place and stuff, but it's basically similar to what she wrote. And Daphne Du Maurier, I guess her parents were actors, or her father was a manager and her mother was an actress and stuff. And I guess they knew a lot of artsy people and stuff like that. And I guess that's kind of how I'm assuming that's how they met Alfred Hitchcock. And I just, yeah. So I really liked Daphne Du Maurier. I've read Frenchman's Creek, Rebecca, and Jamaica Inn. And I want to read My Cousin Rachel. Oh, I also read, and her short stories too, which I did enjoy, but I like the birds the most out of this. This is Daphne Du Maurier's The Birds and Other Stories. But I like the birds the best out of this book. And I want to read My Cousin Rachel next year. That's going to be on my list of books to read. All right. Well, thank you very, very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and y'all have a good day. Bye.